Hi, my name is Jamila Sanders, and today I'm going to be talking about Kevin Samuels right? So, I'm sure most people would know who Kevin Samuels is by now, but if you do not, Kevin Samuels is a YouTube influencer and personality. He has over 1 million subscribers to his YouTube page. He's a life and style coach. He's also an image consultant in the real world. So, if you're not sure who Kevin Samuels is and you want to go check out some of his content after watching this video, you can follow him on his Instagram, which is at Kevin R. Samuels. And you can also go to his website, which is www.bykevinsamuels.com. So, Kevin Samuels, he speaks a lot about relationships, but so I'm gonna pretty much talk mostly about relationships. Um, First, I'd like to say that um, I'd like to start off with when we're talking about love. I'm a Christian, so my viewpoints on love are gonna start off with the love of man versus the love of God. And the love of man is focused on beauty, which you can provide for each other, do for each other, and the ability to compromise. Um, the love of God is kind of the same, except it endures all things. Love of God endures all things no matter what. That's just the love of God. It covers all things. It's agape love. It goes beyond eros, whether you're attractive. It goes beyond whether you can do for them. In fact, the Bible says that to just do for someone because you know that they can repay you back, then you're no better than a sinner, because real love is to do for someone who you know would never be able to pay you back. Someone, you give someone some money, you let them have the money, not borrow the money, but you just give it just because you had it to give. That's the love of God versus the love of man. Um, so right now there's like a clear, when it comes to black families, there's a big discussion about it. Me, my brother, me and my friends, me and my family, my cousins, we talk about this. This is something we talk about in our households. We talk about it amongst one another. There are questions. It's a big conversation. So, I'd like, you guys to hear what I have to say, and pretty much I'm not new to the conversation. Kevin Samuels isn't new to the conversation. This is just something we're just gonna make a video about and see who agrees. And I want to hear what you guys have to say as well. So when it comes to failed relationships, failed marriages, failed relationships, who is to blame? Ultimately, I would say who is to blame is the person who left. Now, that may be kind of like hearsay, and that definitely may be kind of like a touchy subject, because people go, well, what if I was abused? What if I was being abused in a relationship? Well, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but you are the reason for the failed relationship because you left. If you leave the relationship, you are the one who failed the relationship, because a relationship is supposed to be eternal. And if you left, then you kind of like broken that contract, especially if it's a marriage. Um, because it's supposed to be from better through better or worse till death does you part. So if you left, then you are the reason for that failed relationship, that failed marriage. And what is to blame for failed relationship? I would say a number of things. Um, some men are being abused as well. It's not even just a female thing, but I'd like to also stay on topic of for women, because I'm not a man. I talk to men, I hear men out, but I'm a woman, and I can only speak from a woman's perspective. I can only give quotes from other men or things that I've heard other men say. So, women, I would say, speaking of my own family members, people that I know, my own little world, my circle, abuse, emotional abuse. I haven't actually known anyone. I've heard stories, but I haven't actually seen a woman actually be like physically abused, like beat the hell up, like like I haven't seen that, but I have seen um, women be emotionally abused, and that entails a woman being sort of like feeling like she has no power in the relationship. That's usually where the emotional abuse stems from, the feeling of not having power in the relationship. Um, like power. What is that power struggle? That power struggle is she had goals, her own personal goals, and they didn't seem to. There was no place for them within the relationship. There was his goals, and he wanted her to help build his vision for their life and for his life, and her goals got put on the back burner and kind of got put on hold. So I've seen that, and that leads to emotional abuse. How? Okay, so that has led to emotional abuse because now the woman feels undervalued. She feels like she's not being heard. She may even bring up once in a while how she has her own goals, and he may kind of say something that makes her feel as if what she's wanting can wait, as if it's not that important. It's especially if it's not like a lucrative idea. It's not going to bring in big funds. It could, or immediately bring in big funds. It could make, you know, like the woman feel like she's not being heard, or she's not being prioritized. Now, I'm not saying I agree with any of these things. I'm not. These are just things that happen. These are things that I hear as a woman, that other women deal with and put up with, and reasons why they walk away from relationships. Now, I'd also like to talk about some things that Kevin Samuels has said. Kevin Samuels has brought up the fact that women. Okay, I'm going to start off with the fact that he has said that women have a place or a role in relationships that they ought to fulfill, that they ought to display, whether he's the man that they're displaying these traits to is the one or not. And I like to, I guess, first start off talking about the statistics of marriages in between races. So, when it comes to the African American community, we are seeing an increased rate of divorce and rise in single parent households. So clearly there's an area there's something being miscommunicated. There's something going awfully and tragically wrong and awry within the African American community when it comes to our relationships. So I do believe that the conversation on what's happening inside of the relationships needs to be held. What's going wrong? So, is it the women's fault? Is it the man's fault? What's really happening? Well, me, I can only speak for women because I'm a woman, and I know the women that have been married, that are married, and what they're going through. So, or what they have been through. So, I'm going to start off by saying I do agree that even before marriage, that, as I said in the beginning, I believe that a woman has her place and a man has his place. And a woman ought to, yes, be the woman and be a woman, whether he's the man you want to marry or not. We should display certain traits. We should just have a certain mannerism about ourselves that allows a man to feel comfortable to come into our lives and just be that man, whether we want to marry him, whether we want him to marry us or not. Okay, we a man marries us, so that's why we. I can understand why a woman is not displaying certain traits because she may want to push the man away, but you shouldn't change from being like in your feminine nature because you don't want the man to be attracted to you. Because then you're practicing traits that you're not going to want to carry over to a relationship. And also, I'm a firm believer that a man is going to see you before you see him, especially the man you want. The man you want is going to see you long before you see him. And I think it's very, very often that we like to say that we only see, what we see. We only see what's happening before our own eyes clearly, right? So there's rejection that happens, in front of us, and then a lot of us go, oh well, we don't have access to certain types of men. But the thing is, men see you wherever you go. Men of all types of backgrounds, men of all types of stature, and men from all circles. Okay, socioeconomic statuses. They see you no matter where you are, at the grocery store, on the road, no matter where you are. They're gonna see you at your workplace, depending on where you work. But it's about how you're presenting yourself at all times. And that's another thing, is that women fall short of what's expected of them so often. Let's talk about what's expected of us as a woman. Okay, I believe we should just, like me, I don't have no hair, so it's easy for me to say keep our hair done. um, like me, even if I put on a weave, like, if at least make sure it's not nappy. Make sure it's a nice weave, not a cheap one, and make sure that you aren't always moving so fast that a man can't even approach you, or you're not always with your girls, so it's like you're not even approachable. That was one thing my father told me. He told me, make yourself approachable. He was like you women, girls are always in circles or in droves of them, and you can never you don't even realize that there's a man who's trying to approach you, but you're unapproachable. So don't always be talking. Don't always be on the phone. Don't always be with a circle of people, especially guys. Especially if you're single. Not always be around guys. Like, you pick up, one, it's bad for a look. I have male friends, and I'm telling you, like, don't always be with your guy friends in public. Like, sometimes just, like, just, because if you're single and you looking and you always with a bunch of guys, it's gonna make you seem unavailable. That's just common sense. Okay, so I do believe there's a role for women in a relationship, and unfortunately, in marriage, some women's goals will have to be put on the back burner. And I'm a woman speaking that has goals. I have my own goals. I'm not married, but I do understand that if I were to get married, that I want a man with goals. One, so I'm okay with putting my goals on hold, or even changing my goals. Because I dated this one guy, and he straight up told me, because my goal is to do one thing, and he was like, well, that really, I don't really want you to do that. I want you to do this. And, I'd pay for you to, change your, degree to this and everything. And I was just like, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what I told him, you know, because I'm not going to cause friction, especially if you're saying that you're going to support me. This was a supportive man. This is a man that's making good money or decent money. He was making money enough to, it was a good start. He was making good money for our age, and he was willing to take care of me, and he wanted me to change what I was doing, but, you know, I was okay with that. And my mom, after telling her that, she was like, "What is wrong with you? And why would you? No, girl, no. You got what you want, and you have your own goals, and you shouldn't just change that for some guy. And why do you always end up in these situations?" And I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, "Mama, you don't even know. I'm gonna just let it go." I wasn't studying her, but you know, she was not okay with that. So the, I know women out here that are not willing to compromise for a man that's telling her, "Hey, I will take care of you." Like, you're not even gonna compromise? Ain't you gonna pay your bills? He gonna take you in, take care of you? Our only struggle with that one guy, was that, you know, I'm Christian, and I told him I wouldn't get no nanny. I told him I wouldn't give him none, and I've been waiting, and that he was no different. Like, even though he's a good guy, that I've been waiting and I'm gonna wait. That was the. I mean, we still talk, but that's another tough. That's a whole nother conversation. We can talk about that later. For anybody out there that's Christian, we can talk about that later. That's a whole new struggle. All right, I'm picking all kinds of struggles out here on purpose. You see me? It's tough out here for me. Like, so if you giving it up, and there's a man out there that's willing to take care of you, choose at least the right one. Like, I ain't, you know, encouraging you to just be going out there and busting it down for a good man, but I mean, I would imagine that if I was giving it up and I was in that situation, I would have been bust down Betty. Like, I would have called me Tatiana. Like, but I have a whole standard of living that's different from the world. Okay, so most women, most women want a God-fearing man with integrity, but have not submitted to God, and therefore will not know how to gladly and dutifully submit to their own husbands. Okay, so that's another good point. Most women want the traditional man, but don't want to submit to traditional values. Okay, so I say God-fearing man in replacement for traditional, because honestly, what is a traditional man? If we're going off of social standards, those change by the decades. Okay, so there is no traditional man. Like, those standards change as society changes. But what I hear for most women when they describe a traditional man, it sounds mostly like a God-fearing man. It sounds mostly like what God entails for a man to be. The society, it changes, but for what God says a man is to be, is the leader of his wife. He's supposed to be loving to her, kind to her, gentle, long-suffering. He's supposed to show her love. He's supposed to be willing to die for her. Like, that's that. He's supposed to love her as he loves his own self. He's supposed to leave his parents' house to take care of her. He's supposed to start having children with her, not before her. He's supposed to marry her and then provide for her. And then she's supposed to stay at home, and all of those different, that's in the Bible. Okay, that's a godly man. Okay, that's not the world. That's not what the world says that a husband should be. Um, the Bible says that it should be, the man should come first, and then the wife should come second, and then the children should come third. It shouldn't be, the world says that a woman should look out for her children regardless if the man is right or not. And then the children come first. The man get married to the woman, and then the woman come first, and then the children come second, and the man come last. Because And y'all can speak otherwise, but y'all act differently. Y'all say it's not that, but then when we look at y'all, that's what it is. Like, you're like, oh well, my child comes first. My child comes first. It's like you got a whole man sitting right next to you. Women gotta do better. We say we want a God-fearing man. Okay, that's fine. Most men want to be traditional. Most men want to provide for their family. Most men want the woman to stay at home so they can take care of her. Okay, but you have to submit to that as well. Most men that are like that, that have that mindset, are going to want a submissive man, are going to want a man that submits to his will because he's going to feel that he knows what to do. And he's not going to want to be in opposition with you. With you. Sorry. Dropping the T's. Pick them back up. With you, okay? He's not going to want to be in opposition with you, okay? He's going to want someone that he can come home to, relay his ideas and his vision to, and it move forward. Duty. Women have to submit to duty. Okay? Women are going to have to submit to duty first. And I know what that looks like. Okay? That looks like, ooh, I really want to say something. Because that sounds stupid, but I am just going to, instead of saying that sounds stupid, I'm going to have to just go, well, how do you see about doing that, honey? How do you think we're going to, what's your plan on getting that done? That's what it looks like. It looks like, oh man, that is a terrible plan, but, he doesn't even know how we're going to get there. He doesn't even got a good plan. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait till tomorrow. I'm going to stay quiet today, And then tomorrow, I'm going to start talking around to my cousins and my uncles, and maybe they can go talk to him. That's what it looks like. Getting another man maybe involved, but us like actively working against the idea, which is a man comes home and he tells you his plans and his vision for the household, and you tell him, yeah, no, that's not gonna work, that's not how I raised, that's not my idea of what I thought I was gonna be getting into, and that's not what I want for our family, and it's like no compromise. It's like immediate opposition, and also going behind his back and trying to help him to fail so that you can seem right. That's also not that's not duty or compromise or submission. That's just rebellion, and no man wants a rebellious woman. We're not going to talk about that. Let's just go back on track. Okay, so, and then most women, they say, okay, well, if we just don't agree, we disagree, I'll leave. Okay, this is America. That's an option. But what happens after you leave? I mean, do you just go get your own house, collecting child support? You take care of the child. You work your own job. You were doing it before you got married. You can do it again. Okay, there are actual statistics to the success of children that come from single parent households. Because you are getting divorced, you're more likely going to be in a single parent household unless someone remarries you. And most women, after being married and especially after having a child from the previous marriage or multiple children, the chances of getting married are there. There are chance it could start raining frogs outside. But do you have time to date? You have children. Do you have the means to date. How are you looking after having so many children? You still looking good? Most black women look great after having children. I'm not even gonna dog you. You could still look good. You could still look great, and you could be like, I think I can go back on the market and someone will pick me up. But do you have like that kind of like used mentality? Like a man's trying to get to know you, and all of a sudden you comparing him to your ex and everything that he does. He can never live up to your ex, or could never shine your ex, or he just never can get out of his shadow. Like, you're blaming him for things that he never even did. His ex did. Your ex did. It's like, gets tired of hearing his name. Every time he's hanging around you, he's got to hear about Tony and who Tony was and what Tony did. Like, my man wants to be constantly reminded that you belonged to somebody else. Okay. But when it comes to statistics, like actual statistics, let's talk about the children. If you have children, you want to get divorced, you want to be alone, you want to be in a single parent household, you feel like you can do bad all by yourself, okay. But that's you. Children are the ones that suffer the most. A grown adult, you can do as you so please, but your children are with you. They're not living the same life as you. You're in control. I think maybe a lot of parents don't really understand how their children are being manipulated by everything, by all these different choices that you're making. We so often feel because we're doing okay or better than we thought we were before, circumstantially, so are our children. I would believe that that's inherently, I don't have children, so I don't know, but I would imagine that's inherently what parents believe, that since they're doing better, all of a sudden the children are doing okay too. And you got a new job, and you're in an apartment in a location that you always want to live in, and you got a little boyfriend, so you still getting a little penis, that all of a sudden your child is on fine. Well, the statistics for children that live in a single parent household or have gone and followed parents after a divorce are tragic. They're tragic. Let's start basically with just something that I don't believe has been talked about a lot, and that's child sexual abuse. Children are being taken advantage of sexually at overwhelmingly high rates and numbers, especially when it comes to the African American community. Just for being black, your child is put at risk 2 times more than a white child for being sexually abused, just for being black. Not to speak on if you're a foster child. If your child is being put into foster care, the numbers increase by, I believe it's 10 times. Your child is now 10 times more likely to be sexually abused, which sexual abuse includes molestation, touched when the child hasn't granted anyone to touch them, asked to perform sexual acts such as oral sex or rape. And it increases times by 20 for single parent households, especially if there's a live-in co-parent. Like, say you divorce and you get remarried. That doesn't decrease the chances of that, actually increases it. It's still as high as by 20 times more likely to be your child is 20 times more likely to be sexually abused. If that's not enough to make you think about what kind of covering or what kind of protection comes from just staying married, that's the children. Forget the fact that won't have to start paying your own bills, and he won't have to start paying his own bills. Let's stop talking about bills. We're talking about the livelihood and safety of our children. But y'all still gonna do what y'all want to do, so we're gonna move forward. But I think that's a really good like point, a really good topic. I don't know why people don't talk about it. It's maybe people don't know, but I'm a part of an organization that we discuss and we help and we train others to protect themselves, educate themselves, and learn themselves on the risks and behaviors of children that have been sexually abused, and how to recognize it, how to approach it, how to talk about it. Okay, and also we provide training for children, to how to protect themselves, how to talk about it amongst themselves, amongst their peers, and to an adult as well. And also about to have an event that provides these children with some training, physical training, so they can learn how to physically protect themselves. But that is a whole other story. All I'm saying is that there are risks. Review the risks. There are things happening outside of the relationship that are out of your control, that you put yourself more at risk of. Like, for most cases, I understand there are some women that are like, oh, my husband's abusive. Like, he is beating me up, and he's beating my children, or he's just, there are some people in terrible situations. Like, I know Kevin Samuels had one girl on his show, and she was a foster child. She was a girl from the foster system that married a military man, and her father was sexually abusing her sisters, and so they all were placed into foster care as a result of that. Okay, innately, yes, girl, leave that relationship. That is traumatic, extremely traumatic, and but most people, most black people aren't going through that. That's not the reason for most divorces, at least not in my circle. Most people, they just think they would do better off on their own. That's it. Or they're not having their way. I'm so sick of a woman talking about she's leaving because she's not having her way. Okay, well, review the statistics, and when you leave, when you go out and back into the world, you're not going to have your way either way. It's very hard for a woman to just have her way. Like, and most of us say we don't have our way, and it's based on some idea that things are supposed to go our way in the first place. Like, why do we think things are supposed to go our way? They're not. They go the way they go. And then that leads me to talking about another of Kevin Samuels' topics that he so often focuses on: beauty. He is a man, and that is a focus for many men, right? Many men. Okay, so beauty. What is beauty? Beauty is essence. Is it the essence of something, or is it just the appearance of a thing? Well, I'm gonna keep it very basic. I do not believe that beauty is subject to just the appearance of a thing, but if this was a pie chart, I would say it's like 80%, 85% of the pie chart, okay? And then the essence of a thing is maybe like 15%. And what I mean by like essence is, I believe that a woman or a man, let's talk about men, because they always talk about a woman's beauty. Men can be beautiful or handsome too. The attraction of a man could be physically attractive, right? Like dark is 11:59. I don't know what y'all into, but I'm kind of giving my little take. Okay, you could be dark as 11:59 at night. Okay, and 6 feet tall, and and a beautiful smile just gleams when you're just beautiful smile. Should I even go so far as to say, chiseled chin, you know, just handsome. Just you could be very handsome, and then you could also be a pompous, just jerk, and it's either your way or the highway type of mentality, and there's like it's like you have no means of compromise, or like you're hard to talk to because you you've been led on to believe that you're your own poop down stink, and that can make you unattractive or unappealing, but not unattractive, because I don't think how you look will change, but it'll make it'll make a woman who who isn't into that, like, which I don't think most women are, but a woman who isn't into that, it'll make her like kind of just, you won't be, you with, even with your good looks, you won't be that attractive anymore. So that's that 15%, the essence of a man has to be kind of like a little soft on, I want a man all rough and hard. This ain't WWE. Like, come on now. Um, um, but beauty is definitely a thing. I know a lot of us like to believe that it's 85% essence and 15% how you appear, but just reality. We're gonna stay with reality. Um, it is definitely 85%. If it were 85% essence, then that would mean that we were just going off of, oh, how you make me feel, like, oh, you're beautiful because I just like being around you. Like, I mean, you could say that, but if you were doing like, imagine yourself as like as a professional, photographer, right? photographer, photographer, and you were shooting for Vogue, okay, and you had a lineup of people, and this person is like that gives you all these good feels and emotion and everything. Would you actually include them in your lineup? Would you choose for them to appear in your magazine because of how they make you feel? And they just so funny. Like, no, you'd be like, nah, they don't really have the look that I'm looking for. And we all know this. Like, I don't even believe that it makes sense, because I'm Christian, okay, and even the Bible talks about beauty. Of course, the Bible says, that a woman is beautiful because she's, more modest in her appearance. A woman's modesty makes her beautiful. A woman that doesn't adorn herself with lots of jewelry and makeup and fancy hairstyles is beautiful. A simple woman is beautiful. A woman that loves God is beautiful. A virtuous woman is beautiful. The Bible says all those things, but then the Bible does actually there's some women that are placed higher than the other, like in the story of Jacob, right? Rachel had a lovely figure, right? He worked 14 years for that girl. Most of y'all most of us would love to have a man that's like, I worked 14 years for you. 14 years. I mean, he sat around and waited for 14 years. He worked 7 years and then was tricked into marrying her older sister, Leah. And she wasn't it. She wasn't the pretty one. She wasn't the pretty sister. Right? We always got one sister. I got a sister too. I got a sister, and I be like, she's the pretty one. Like, she's the pretty one. I look like my dad, and there's Sarah, she was so beautiful that Abram was like, look, when we go into this next town, say you're my sister, because they might kill me for you, because you just so pretty. Like, they gonna kill me. I ain't trying to die. Like, say I'm your brother, if they ask, and really, like, so there are beautiful women that are acknowledged in the Bible. So it's not like, oh, it's just man standard. Like, no, beauty is a thing. Okay, God created some women and men just beautiful and handsome. Solomon even was acknowledged for his handsomeness. Like, he was a beautiful man. Shoot. So beauty is a thing, and we can't just like make it like, oh, it's not a thing, and everyone's really beautiful. Okay, all right, let's stick with reality. But what is beauty, and how much does it matter? I'm not even going to talk about how much it should matter. I'm just going to talk about how much it does matter, because honestly, the how much it should matter, I'm pretty sure we all like can figure that out. But how much does it matter? It matters. It's the it's the difference from being noticed and not being noticed, being approached and not being approached, the difference of being seen and being in the background. It it definitely, beauty does increase your opportunities of beauty does definitely, I would say, bring forth a vast variety of suitors, whereas some girls are only subject to Tony down the street, you know, or guys they grew up with. That's it. That's all that's really available to them. Guys they grew up with, guys that know them, guys at their job. And then there's some girls that some Arab is gonna look at from straight from Saudi and fall in love with her because she's so beautiful. Some dudes really can fall in love with a woman just because of her beauty. That's just reality. I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be depressing to think about that. I think that honestly we should be able to accept that and move on, so we can know hmm what we can get, and then be happy with it. Like, one of the questions he asks is, okay, how tall are you? Kevin Samuels. He always asks, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? And on a scale from 1 to 10, where would you put yourself? Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that right now. I am 5'7". I'm 149 pounds. And I'm a 6. Okay? I'm a 6. Which means I'm cute. And I could be beautiful, If somebody hooked me up, shoot, I could be beautiful, you know. But honestly, that's I heard one girl call herself straight up a 4 though one time. So I guess it's not that difficult for everybody to look in the mirror and go, yeah, yeah. But that's why when certain men like of certain stature, like dudes making 60 grand a year, 75 grand a year, approach me, I'm like, yeah, that's about my league. I know my league. I'm used to y'all. I'm like, I'm used to you. I'm used to you. Like, like one time a doctor tried to talk to me, I was like, I was, I knew I had reached above my league at that point. Like, I was happy. Once again, I wasn't able to actually, you know, secure that one because at the time I was sick. I didn't really get time to hang with him and everything. But let me tell y'all something. I like Kevin Samuels. Like Kevin Samuels, I had to battle cancer. I had just like Kevin Samuels as well. I had a abdominal tumor that protruded like his extremely large. Mine had me looking like I was about 4 months pregnant for about 7 months, 7 to 8 months. So I understand what it's like to be on the brink of, your life where you're like, nothing will ever be the same from here. And so much is put into perspective. So much is, I was already mature by 25, but so much was put into perspective when I got sick. It made me realize just because I had just turned 27. He was younger when he had his abdominal tumor. I think he was probably like 21, 22 when he had his, but I was like 27. I just turned 27. 2 months after I turned 27, had my doctor come and tell me that I was diagnosed with cancer. So it strikes as odd. You don't understand it, but you definitely start thinking about how very little other things matter, and all that matters is your life and living and reality. Everyone's kind of like making up their own realities, and you're literally living in reality. There is no, oh, I can call this away and this will be gone. All I gotta do is speak into existence, and like, no, it's, I have to go through this. I have to face this. Sometimes I have to face this reality. I could die. I hope I don't. Like, but I encourage everyone to wake up every day, face reality, and just keep positive spirits. Like, don't let anything that I've said or that Kevin Samuel says get you down, because at the end of the day, it's all love, and we're all just trying to benefit our community in some kind of way. I'm trying to contribute to the community as best as I know how, as best as I see how, and as the best as I can. And I hope that this video encouraged and helped somebody. Okay? And, stay black, stay woke, stay fine, stay beautiful, and get out there and be somebody. All right. Bye.